Earlier this week, I was going through the checkout line at the H-E-B grocery store in my neighborhood. The cashier, a young woman who looked like she was probably in her early 20s, greeted me, saying through her face mask, "Hi, how are you doing?" I replied through my mask with the perfunctory, "I'm good, thanks. How about you?" She answered, "I'm good too," and started scanning my items. But then, even though because of her mask I couldn't see her entire facial expression, I could see in her eyes that good was not how she was doing. I realized it wasn't how I was doing either. I hesitated, but then I said, "Actually, I'm just hanging in there. Good is probably a stretch right now." She laughed briefly and then teared up a little and replied, "I hear you. Me too. I'm scared all the time." In that brief moment, we recognize one another's wholeness and humanity and sacredness. We likely have very different lives. Besides our age difference, she works in the public each day at risk for exposure to coronavirus, and as she said, terrified about that. I am working mostly from home, missing public human contact. Yet in that moment, we were able to bless each other. We released each other from the need to pretend that we were okay when we were not, and that was a blessing for us both. Now, in the Southern Baptist tradition in which I grew up, a blessing was considered to be a bestowal of God's favor and protection. For us as Unitarian Universalists, though, I love the concepts of blessings that we heard in our call to worship and in our reading earlier. Blessings are when we help each other find our inherent wholeness and worth, call out that spark of the divine within each of us. In this time of coronavirus continuing to expand its spread, of wearing masks and most of us still sheltering in place, I think we can offer each other blessings in so many ways. The first way is what happened between the young woman at H-E-B and I earlier this week. We can give each other permission not to have to pretend that we're okay when we're not okay. Given what we're all living through, everyone gets a pass sometimes. Good is going to be a stretch sometimes. One gift, one blessing we can offer ourselves and each other is permission to grieve. Our lives have been disrupted. We don't know how all of this will eventually unfold, and that is anxiety-provoking. Many of us are so greatly missing being able to have in-person human contact beyond just our own households. I hope someday never to have to be on another Zoom meeting ever again, or at least that is not the only option anymore. I'm standing here in our pulpit preaching to rows of empty pews and chairs. It feels so strange. It feels like a loss. I miss the interaction that happens when so many of you are here with me. Now, I should mention that our extremely wonderful church member, Tom Martin, is here with me, recording the sound and video from back in the tech booth, so at least I have someone with whom to make eye contact from time to time. On Sunday mornings, before we had to close the building, I used to go back to the nursery to greet our child care workers, and because I also just loved being with the youngest among us. These days, I come to the church a few times each week to walk the grounds in the building just to make sure everything is okay. On Sunday mornings, I come up early so I can be home in time for these services online. On Sunday mornings, when I walk into the nursery, it's empty, and my heart hurts. I think One way we can bless each other, help each other be whole, is to encourage others to let ourselves feel these feelings. We can offer comfort to one another when these emotions come up. We can offer comfort to ourselves. It's okay to cry sometimes. It's okay to feel rage against what is happening sometimes. It is okay to not be okay sometimes. Let's give ourselves that blessing. On the other end of the spectrum, though, I think we can also bless each other with good humor and joy. On the Tuesday and Thursday morning Zoom hangouts with the ministers we're doing each week, our senior minister, Meg, always poses a question that often opens up a lot of humor. I can't tell you how comforting it is to laugh with other people, even if it is through a computer microphone and screen. And apparently, it turns out, we have more than one of our church folks who aspire to be queen of the world. I won't share their names or genders. Okay, it's church member Mary Patrick and me. She gave me permission to share that joke. Another church member, Scott Butke, has been periodically posting on Facebook the question, "What brings you joy lately?" Reading the comments people post in the response is such a blessing because I can feel their joy. Plus, I get ideas for other ways in which I might find joy. And I love how our Director of Religious Education, Kelly Stokes, has been bringing us the story for all ages each week from some of her favorite outdoor locations. To me, it feels like she's not just sharing the story with us, but she is also blessing us by sharing places where she finds joy and beauty. So we can bless each other through letting each other know in what ways we are finding joy these days. Finally, I think we can bless each other by expressing to each other where we are finding hope during this time. For me, so often I'm witnessing people treat each other with a gentleness and a kindness that I have not seen before. This is happening even among total strangers. I know that's not what we see on the evening news much, but it is what I'm witnessing locally so often, and it gives me hope. The polling that shows growing support for Black Lives Matter and racial equity is giving me hope. It gives me hope that though this time can be difficult, we are also finding new ways of being and functioning. We're discovering that maybe we don't need to drive to the office every day even when there isn't a pandemic. It's showing that maybe we can find a new level of stillness within ourselves. So many people have mentioned to me how much they have been reconnecting with nature. Others of us have discovered that we actually can talk with our neighbors. It warmed my heart when I read an article recently about how our animal shelters are emptying out because so many people are adopting. So those are just a few of the areas through which I am finding hope. Where are you finding hope these days? Feel free to bless us all by sharing in the comments if you feel moved to do so. My beloveds, we are in this together. So bless. Be blessed. Know that you are loved. Know that you are sacred.